Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
The Rise Up Morning Show.
Today is Wednesday, March 19th. I just love that theme song, and I am so glad that you're here with us. How about Catch Me Outside? Someone asked, I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about, that Catch Me Outside. You're talking about that great meme? Catch Me Outside. How about that? We getting a new meme coin for that? Speaking of meme coins, in the headlines today, Raydium has launched its own version of Pump.Fun because they're missing that sweet liquidity and volume. We'll talk about it in a minute. Also today is Web3 101. If you're here on the Rise Up Morning Show, it's because you're trying to learn about crypto. You're trying to get a better grip on what's going on in this space, and that's what we're here to do, is answer your questions, share what we know so we can all learn, grow, and we say rise up together. If that sounds like you and you've got a question, then please do make sure to leave it in the comments, or I also want to invite you to join the free Rise Up Discord server. That is the place where the show lives 24/7. We've got lots of past question and answers there. We've got lots of resources there. I always say the only thing missing is you. Learners at all levels of experience from all around the world who are super friendly are waiting to meet you there. It's discord.gg/riseup. I'd love to see you. Already, we've got great comments rolling in. Tori wants to know, did I survive last night? I am so sorry to tell you that, in fact, no, I did not. Which is okay, honestly, truly. Crypto the Game is in its final day today. The people who did survive last night are going into a final vote. And I am very proud to say that the team of friends I started with who played together last season made it all the way undetected through the game. Some of the highlights include executing what I would call a perfect vote on night 7, a very difficult night when over 100 people got eliminated, meaning we protected all of our players and sent home everybody we had a target on. On the 8th night, or maybe the 9th night, there was a merge of the tribes, and all the players were competing for just 7 individual immunities. Our Silly Friends Alliance, just 22 people, won 4 of them. And we sent, I'll have to fact check myself on the number here, but we sent at least 5 people to the final. I think we might have sent 7 or 8. Fact check yourself, brother. Which is huge because there are only like 50 people in the final. So for a group of friends who started playing the game together to mostly go undetected, to have such influence on the game is pretty impressive. And now I am interested to see who among my Silly Friends Alliance will campaign effectively to win the vote. I think, unfortunately, the result of having 5 people in the final who did not have a plan to split the pot, it's like a heist team who goes into the heist and gets the money but hasn't decided how they're going to break it up. You know what I mean? It's kind of like what's happening now. I think they're all going to go out and campaign, and some of them are going to get 5 votes and 10 votes and 15 votes, and no one's going to get 50 votes or 60 votes or 70 votes. The player jury is 716 people. Some of them may abstain from voting, and we'll see who wins. I'll have an update for you on that tomorrow. Thank you for asking, Tori. Somebody said, if I could live in that hat, I would. Let me tell you, that's why I wear it every morning. It's cold in the morning here, and it's cozy as hell. My grandmother made this hat, and she made the other hat that I wear often too. And, someday, if I do pull off a killer heist or something like that, and they put me in a museum, hopefully for a positive reason, maybe they'll put one of my hats in there. Maybe they'll live long enough. If you've got a crypto question, this is the place for it. Alex is on his way. He says he's got a dog-related incident. Remember, this is Will's day off. So it's our time to go through some Web3 101 stuff. We'll slow it down, break it down, and make sense of it together. Creative Access. My friend Carol says, Tori, I'm so glad you're abreast of Evan's game. I am not. However, I am so delighted and enriched by being included by your commentary. Thank you, Carol. They're working on making it a more robust spectator experience. We have an interview with Dylan Abrascato, the founder of Crypto the Game, from 2 Wednesdays ago on Rise Up After Dark. It was more like Rise Up Afternoon that day. And that's something that he talks about, is understanding the game is, in fact, an online game played mostly in a website and mostly in Telegram chats, and that it can be really hard for people who want to catch up to it to feel like they're really in it the way a game show like Survivor makes you feel like you're really in it. And I'm curious to see how they can improve that experience. But I'd like to, while we think about what questions we want to ask, what you'd like us to go through, then let's talk about a couple of the headlines and back and forth a couple of these quick questions. Like Robbie, I see you asked, is Bitcoin dominance dropping at the moment? It's a great opportunity to show you something. Robbie, you already know about this, but everybody else, I'm going to take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. We can pull this up on TradingView or any other such website. TradingView.com is a free website that you can use to look at a variety of indicators, including Bitcoin dominance, which is a measure of how well Bitcoin is performing compared to other crypto tokens, every other crypto token by market cap. It is arrived at by taking the number of dollars in the Bitcoin market cap and dividing that by the number of dollars in all the other altcoins across the cryptocurrency space. When it is strong, it is usually on the road to a Bitcoin all-time high. And when it is weak, usually below 50% or so, that is when we are ripe for what our industry likes to call an altcoin season. And according to TradingView's chart, on the day, Bitcoin dominance is dropping about 1%. Excuse me, not quite 1%, 0.5%, 2 bips. On the week, it's down 1%. On the month, it's up 1%. On the 6 month, it's up 5%. And on the year, it's up 13%. So over the year, the Bitcoin dominance chart has looked like this. And I would say that that is showing no meaningful sign of dropping. Sometimes we say in crypto, when in doubt, zoom out. Obviously, you hear that other places too. But I would say we would need more data. Check this out. Hang on. Let me share my screen so you can see what I'm looking at. And we'll talk about it. All right. For everybody on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, take a look at this. Everybody on TikTok, here we go. Oh no, is it going to let me flip my screen around while Alex and Will aren't here? Yes, it is. Ha ha. Here we go. So this is the chart on TradingView. This is a year ago. And this is today. A year ago, before the all-time high, Bitcoin dominance was low, under 50%. And look, on the way to the all-time high, it just creeped right up. This is about 62%, this high point in the chart right here. And then, if you'll remember, in November and December, there were a few altcoins that really started to bump and move, and Bitcoin dominance at that time went down. The rally was short-lived, and since that time, Bitcoin has become increasingly dominant. For anything like what we would call an altcoin season, we would expect this number to go down below 50, closer to 40. This is a really great comment right here from David Ballou. Bitcoin's price is dropping, and even so, it is still gaining dominance. David, I hope you don't mind that I added that little even so there. That's a really good point. Bitcoin dominance does not mean that the price of Bitcoin is going up relative to itself. It is about Bitcoin in relation to other assets. And everybody's question right now is, boy, are we going to get a recession? And the answer is, frankly, I don't know.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. I don't know. About the hat. Our friend Rocketeer says, I thought you were wearing that hat because it kept your headphones on. No, I have gotten myself a new pair of headphones. I did the civil thing and went out and bought a pair of headphones after my last pair broke. Because we I'm that guy who, I have a pair of shoes that's got a hole in them and I'm not attached to them. I just don't like, it's like selling Bitcoin. Alex often says I'm allergic to it. I'm a little bit allergic to spending money that I feel is unnecessary. If you can keep your headphones on with a hat, why do you gotta spend it? How do you turn on Bitcoin dominance? That's a great question. You do things that incentivize people to buy Bitcoin, like you make it easy for them to get access via an ETF, or you incentivize them to spend money with a stimulus, or you have an economy where money is cheap. where the government is spending big and risk on assets are looking pretty good. Those kind of things. The legitimacy of Bitcoin, its adoption by governments, by states, by institutions, other entities, all helps Bitcoin dominance. And similarly, innovation in the altcoin sector, that will suppress it. So we'll see. Solemn says, we should have already had a recession. I think the printing of money has stalled that. Am I right? It's tough to say. I don't know how much money we've printed in the last year, but I do know that we've printed more money in the last 10 years than at any point in the history of the fiat standard in the United States, meaning more dollars in existence today have been created in that time frame than at any point in, add all the other years together. And when I say created, printed, you may not know this. Elon Musk was in the news recently talking to Ted Cruz and another congressperson whose name is escaping me, talking about what he calls these magic money printers. It was news to Elon Musk, but it didn't have to be news to you that the way money works is it is created by the handful of elected and appointed officials or institutions that have the power to do it, including your bank. When you go into your bank and you apply for a loan and they grant you one, that money, much of it, is created out of thin air. Like, they don't have a button that they push that turns on a little oven where a little green man is cranking a handle and turning the paper into money. That's not how it works. Almost all of the new money that is created that way is digital. Most dollars in our system are digital. They're not backed by paper. They're just backed by the promise of our government to pay. And when the government prints money, it is issuing money to people. Like, that is creating debt, essentially, that people must pay back with interest. It is a repeating cycle that way. Solemn, I imagine you know this, but if you didn't know that, I think a lot of people have this mistaken faith in paper money or coinage because it's physical. But most of the money that your government issues, it's not physical. It's not real in that sense. And it's certainly not real in the sense that it's backed by anything that has inherent value. It's just backed by the promise of the government to pay. So turning the money printer on can be a way to temporarily avoid a recession by creating money that people like you and I, consumers, will spend. They may also choose to invest it, but a recession, in my understanding, is usually defined by periods of sluggish, decline or growth. It has little to do with the amount of money that is printed. It has more to do with the amount of money that is spent. But that there often is a correlation between how much money is printed and how much money is spent. Because the printing of money, the easy printing of money, especially the low cost of money, if interest rates are low, incentivizes people to go get loans, which means money is created. Does that make sense? Let's see, DeVenzo. Here we go. The wonderful fiat that says, I back this and approve that we've got you covered by the good of the USA. Wasn't that the dollar wasn't backed anymore? Okay, hang on. Let me catch up on this comment. Yes. Millions and millions of USDC has been minted in the last few weeks. Is this normal? Let's in fact check it, because I'm not certain what the normal rate of printing money is. How much money was printed in 2025? Let's find out. The thing to understand, though, is that this is not a new problem. It's probably sensationalized by the news, and ultimately it's bad for us. Like this is, what I would argue is that we're moving away from a monetary standard because money has this problem baked in. This is not a problem that people really can control. They can mitigate it. People like Jerome Powell can, but it's not something to control. This is a problem that will be part of using money that is backed by a promise to pay, controlled by a government. Their incentive will always be to print more, to do whatever they want, because it allows them to pass costs for things off to people who use their money. They pay the bill last, and they have access to print more money anytime they want to, an infinite amount, to fund wars or whatever. Okay. Note print order ranges from The Board of Governors is the issuing authority. Let's see. So I see what the print order is. And the print order is the Federal Reserve's issuance to the Department of the Treasury to say, how much money are you going to print this year just to release bills or digital money into circulation. I think this is specifically talking about bills. It looks like this year, because they do it every year, they have a print order. They are issuing in dollars between $83 billion and $112 billion of bills. The print order ranges from 4.1 billion to 5.9 billion notes, because they're printing them as, ones, twos, fives, tens, 20s, 50s, $100 bills. This is in the United States specifically. Your government, it may differ the way that they do it. The upper range of the order is a decrease of about 1 billion notes, about 14%, from the upper range of the 2024 print order. And historically, it's a little bit smaller than 2023, much smaller than 2022 and 2021. It is the smallest print order in the last 10 years, which is interesting. And I'll show you the graph that I'm looking at here in case you'd like to see this for yourself. You might be asking yourself, what can we do about this? This is a problem that affects all of us, but none of us really have any control over this kind of thing. And the answer is you can support cryptocurrency. You can support decentralized money and alternative means of creating value. That would be my suggestion to you, because the truth is we're moving away from a monetary standard. It may not happen imminently, but it's certainly going to happen because there are just better tools for it. Alex, is that you? I keep seeing a little flicker and it comes off and on and off and on. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Alex Popovich. Alex, thank you so much for being here, man. How you doing?
Oh, long-time host, first-time caller, second-time caller. I don't know. I'm doing all right. It was, like I was texting Evan right before we went live. It was just a perfectly timed dog catastrophe that delayed me this morning. I feel like they can tell, show's about to start. Better break something. And by break something, I mean shit on the floor. So, we're here. Okay, well, you haven't missed a ton. I gave a Crypto the Game update about my elimination and the pending vote to select a winner. I talked a little bit to answer the question about Bitcoin dominance. How is it determined? And is it falling right now? And the answer is, in fact, no. And then we were just talking about the issuance and printing of money. Robbie asked a really good question about how much money has been printed this year. And in case you were curious, less money is ordered to be printed this year than has been printed in the last 10 years. But we're still printing money. So, Is there like a consensus on what that is indicative of? Because that feels like just an indictment of the fact that physical currency is disappearing and we're just becoming more and more digital.
I don't honestly know, because I'd be interested to know the total amount of money issued. This was just physical money that we're talking about here. And I don't know where I would go in about 2 seconds to get the issuance of digital money, though I'm sure it's something we could look up if people are interested in it.
I think I'm correct in saying that it would just be the increase of M2, although that's influenced by a couple other things. Maybe is it M1?
I think it would probably be M1. M1 over time. Also, Alex, I don't know if you get your windows down, but you might consider rolling them up, because, man, you are wind tunneling.
Well, I'll just mute in between talking. I'm just driving a truck. Windows are up, and I apologize.
No. It's no big deal. It could very well be M1 money supply, because there are a couple of other things that go into the I'm thinking circulation of money. But here, if you're curious, is the number. The M1 money supply, for people who want to know how much money is in circulation. Let me see if I can share my screen. It's hard to type and and share my screen at the same time. So this includes a couple of different things for people who are not familiar. We measure the supply of our money with a system called
the name is escaping me, money supply system. It's represented as M0, M1, M2, M3, M4, and so on. And the numbers increase based on how available or liquid the money is. So M0 is like the most at hand, easy to create money. M1 is liquid money. M2 involves like measures of things that can become liquid money very quickly. M1 is physical currency and coins, demand deposits, traveler's checks, and other checkable deposits like the balance on your government's budget sheet. How much money it says they have in their reserve, that kind of thing is considered M1. The United States M1 money supply looks like this in the last several years. Hold tight. And shocker, it's increasing. Just like we looked at that Bitcoin dominance chart and it was going up and to the right. M1 money supply is going up and to the right over the last year. This is just for the last year. We're going from, I'm not sure what this is US dollars in billions. So if we zoomed out, we might see a different trend, and maybe we can look at it over 5 years and 10 years in a second. But we have gone from about 18,000 billion or 18 trillion to 18.4 trillion dollars in M1 money supply. And over 10 years, look at this. This spike in the middle of the chart, remember I told you more fiat money has been printed in the last 10 years than at any point in time in our nation's history. This is what we're talking about, specifically the COVID-19 stimulus. The money supply, M1, jumped from 3.9 trillion to 16.6 trillion. It increased about 3.5 times.
I think the figure was, of all of the money in circulation right now, 40% of it has come into circulation in the past 10 years.
I actually thought the number was higher than that. I think it was closer to 70 or 80, honestly, truly. But I would be willing to fact check it.
There's so many numbers. I 100% believe that I'm mixing something up.
Yeah, and to be clear, this is a question I'm answering, and I think Alex would agree. This is really not what I went to school for. This is not my area of expertise.
No, don't take any of, fact check all of this. Don't take any of this as gospel word. This is not necessarily what I would.
It's not the kind of question I would ask me and expect a really robust, thoughtful answer on. But, I am a guy who has thought about it before and knows how to use the internet and can make sense of it for you. So if you've got a crypto question, especially Web3 101, that's the place we'd love to start. Somebody asked, so is this recession pure media hype? And I would say no. Would you say so, Alex?
I would not say purely. I think that we're in a time and a day and an age where everything gets overhyped because various media outlets are starving for attention, and you got to bait engagement as much as you can. So sensationalize everything. But I don't think purely is a fair descriptor. I mean, there's a significant amount of indication that there is a problem, and has been for a while. Case in point, why change moving the goalposts is always indicative to me of a problem. And changing the specific definitions or adding different descriptors to define different kinds of recessions and yada yada whatever. And we're better at putting band-aids on stuff now, so there's that to consider. The fact that on paper we have this split in between like raw economic data and the manifestation of that data in the day-to-day lives of everyday people. On paper, rounding out the last administration, we had an unbelievably strong economy on paper, and the overwhelming majority of people saw really no indication of that in their day-to-day life because there's just this disconnect. So I don't think it's hype driven at all. I think that it's the fact that it exists is being sensationalized, but not purely.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it too. And of course, there are a lot of good questions and comments. Tech CEO says, we should hype up the fact that everyone's overhyping. To which I say, that might be too much hype for me. Now, I like the hype also. We do have a couple of news headlines today. Alex, I saw your story, and I'm going to get to these. It's interesting, just the time we live in. I feel like there's news to look for, we say, in these downtimes. I hesitate to call this kind of a bear market because I think people are often just too quick to say it's a bull market, it's a bear market, like when they wake up in the morning Yesterday was a bull market, today's a bear market. I prefer to stick to a definition that defines things on a little longer time frame. But I will say that when prices are down, whether it's day to day or week to week, people tend to stop paying attention. But this is the time when you can really, really benefit from paying a little bit of attention to the news in crypto, even if it's less newsworthy. Also, Alex, really quick.
Sorry.
No. Quick question. I had not heard from Will this morning, and I just assumed it was his usual day off Wednesday morning. But it sounds like he might have made a video that indicated his dad had some health troubles and he was going to go see him. Have you heard from him?
Yeah.
Is he okay?
Yeah. So he's good. His dad's okay. The update is that yesterday they had a small health scare, what they thought was a health scare. It turned out to be something else. It's not my business or place to say exactly what was going on. But the good news is that his father is okay, and the thing that they thought was the scare turned out to be a false alarm. He went to the doctor, and Will is stopping by to see them, I believe, on his way up to go skiing. So he should be driving. I believe he's on the road to Maine right now.
Okay, great. Well, Will, if you can hear me wherever you are, we're thinking about you. Thank you, Tori, for the update, and Alex for confirming. I think you were going to give a comment, though, before that about paying attention at this important time in the market.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, this I am an expert on. So
there we go.
I will just say, I just want to say two things, because I keep seeing this get kicked around. I'm seeing it talked about in Discord, and I don't believe in coddling anybody. So here's the truth. What I observe, and my impression based on history, looking at these things. I don't think you can say confidently that you're in a bull or bear market. I completely agree with you, Evan. I think we need another animal, to be very honest with you. What's an animal that's confused?
A dolphin on land.
I feel like we can definitely find a picture of some sort of animal that's perplexed. That's just, like
you mean confused all the time, or like just circumstantially confused?
Like a platypus, right? It doesn't know what the hell it is. It's got teeth on its ankles. It's got a bill and a weird tail. No clue what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
So in this platypus market, which I would call also the transitionary market between bull and bear, potentially, Evan is correct. One of the biggest indications that you are in a deep bear market is the fact that most people don't give a shit. And anytime you bring it up, it's like, yeah, okay, that was a scam. That shit's all dead. It's not for me. Isn't it all in the gutter? It all crashed, right? And that's the time when you really want to be paying attention. Not to say that you need to go buy everything. Not all of it's going to come back. All those normal disclaimers, but that's the time. That's how you know. Right now, people are like, wait, no, was that the top? What? Shit, I didn't sell anything. Fuck, this can't be in hard denial. And hard denial is always the way that a bear market begins. So if we are going into a bear market, which I'm not saying that we are, okay? I'm just saying that if we were, this is what it would feel like. Confused and angry and in denial and coping with the fact that you didn't sell enough and that you didn't listen to my little grumpy fairy godparent that sits on your shoulder and whispers in your ears to take profits and all that good stuff. That's kind of how it starts. Is this sort of like, is it over? Is it not? No, it's coming back. And then like you see a rally and everyone's like bull trap, bear trap, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So the confusion is, there's no other word for it. It's very confusing. And the best thing that you can do is be as agile as possible, be very aggressive with your profits if you are buying stuff right now. And if you buy something on one of these crashes and you get some sort of small rally, I please consider selling something and taking some profits, and hold some stables. And, I keep saying without saying, what I'm trying to get across here is that nobody knows, and saying hard line one way or the other that we're definitely still bullish or we're definitely in a full bear market is just, I find it to be dishonest, because nobody knows, and I've never seen a more confusing market than the one we're in right now. I really, truly haven't.
I saw this in our Discord a little while ago, and I'm going to share it here. Somebody asked, what phase of the market are we in? And they shared this psychology of a market cycle. I've seen this graph a number of times, a number of ways. The branding on this one is a little interesting, but generally, this is a measure of what the price is doing as the lines go up or down. And then the kind of sentiment that people tend to experience. And this one is particularly oriented toward crypto. You can see they are talking about alts. But, the 4-year cycle of financial markets since the opening of the stock market especially is a fairly well-documented phenomenon. I don't really ascribe to the 4-year theory of for crypto, and especially not for like alternative assets. But I do think that this sentiment cycle is pretty common when things are going up and when things are going down. When things are going up, there's a lot of hope. Then there's optimism. Then there's belief. Specifically in Bitcoin, people think their asset could go up. They get thrilled. They become euphoric at the top of the cycle. People start aping money into meme tokens, and then things start coming down pretty quickly, quicker than the sentiment can catch up to it. People start to feel anxiety as the price dips. They feel denial as it continues to go down. They feel panic. They start to capitulate. And if they haven't gotten out already and they don't have a plan, they're selling everything. And then they become angry. They become depressed. They have disbelief when the price comes back. But markets are cyclical. That's the point. And it's very difficult to predict on the way in whether things are going up or down. If we could do that, then I could afford all of the hats and shoes and funky fabrics and things like that. If I was rich, I wouldn't tell anybody, but there would be signs.
And I get the desire to speculate, and I share that. I try to be careful just because I know that people take things that we say as more just a speculative guess. And I really don't enjoy living with the idea that I could just say something that I know to be a guess, but perhaps someone does not know that I'm guessing as hard as I'm guessing, and does something financially motivated because of what I say, makes a bad decision based on not the full picture, no context, etc., and then gets hurt by it. I would rather someone be annoyed that I won't give them a hard answer than someone get fucked over because they misinterpreted what I said to be like gospel or a hardline prediction or some sort of indication that I know where the markets are going or whatever. I find it to be irresponsible to just spread that kind of stuff unless I'm in a one-on-one conversation with someone who I can give the full context and picture to, not being listened to by hundreds of people who maybe don't know me or maybe have interesting or unique financial situations or that sort of stuff. That's why I'm kind of waffling on just saying hard line, yes, no, because I don't know, and it's irresponsible to put that in someone's head, I believe.
I agree. I agree completely. And that's why you come here, I hope, to watch the Rise Up morning shows, because by coming back, you can get more context. You can get more out of this kind of stuff. And especially not just from us, but from all the people that you meet here. Speaking of people that you meet here, I do want to bring up our friend, Mr. Dougie Fresh. On the way, let me tell you that we've got some good comments about animals who are confused. Tori says it's an aquatic animal for sure. Cam said it's an ostrich with its head in the sand. And Solemn said, oh, it's not an animal. Just show a picture of me looking at the charts. So thank you for your input there. If you are a confused animal just trying to make it.
We're officially in a Jason market then? Is that what I'm
We're
hearing?
officially in a Jason market then. And hopefully Doug from the bathroom can make some sense of it for us. Welcome to the show, Doug. The tiles are looking clean, man.
Two more. I did a polish today.
Bro, you got some grout.
Alex, I feel like you were just speaking to me from my stream I was just on, but you didn't know it. Because I probably was the most emphatic, or just like, I don't know if that was the right word. I'm teetering on the zone of which you just said, right? We're like, I need to keep myself in check because I have a thesis right now. I have a bias, but to your point, not in a way of misleading, because I don't know. I'm just a guy. Like I have one point of view, right? There's go listen to 5 other guys and gals, whoever's giving you, that's it. And then look at them objectively. I just have the reasons behind my thesis that's there, and it is a strong thesis, but at the same time, everything you said is spot on. Like I struggle with that daily. Is that I'm, trying now to understand that, hey, people may take things that I may say a certain way or not, but I'm trying to also at the same time protect folks from what I believe this is not the best time to get aggressive in longs. Like I could say that, like confidently, this is not a great time to like start buying a lot. It's not like that I can say with a certainty. And things will be more clear when that time does come again, and it will come again. But right now I don't see it. So
Yeah.
I will say, Doug, two things. You're not just a guy. You're a guy in a really well-tiled bathroom. That counts for
Dude,
something.
I'm so close to taking this down. This weekend it's coming down. Like, but now
No! You can
No,
never
not
do
the
that.
bathroom
This is
wall.
your brand,
You can't
man.
do
Love it or hate it. This is your brand, dude.
You can't take your bathroom wall down, Doug. That's just
yeah,
indecency.
it's
But no,
indecent.
I think that in this point, like to say something that might come across as more helpful than just me telling you in 10,000 different ways that I don't know what's going on, I would just say that, you know, the best way to navigate a market like this is kind of what I was saying. It's just, you have to know how you're trying to get into things. So in a market like this, you can get in with a very short-term mindset. You know, if you've got those skills to kind of be that sort of like the type of analysis that Doug works on and that kind of stuff, and you can make these really short-term plays, and you're willing to take, you know, a 5% win or a 10% win or short something, or, you know, things that I don't particularly focus on because I'm not a good trader in that sense. You know, that's one way. You can absolutely do that. You can get hosed doing that, you know, so go slow and practice and learn things and all that good shit, blah, blah, blah. The other thing is just to keep focus on that long-term mindset. And that's where I see the most people get confused. They feel like they want to invest in things that are long-term, but they act like day traders. And so in that, I mean, if you believe that Bitcoin is going to continue to grow the way that it has for its whole lifespan, and you are looking at this as something that you would like to hold for the next how many years, and it's part of your retirement strategy, you're adding it to your overall investment portfolios of index funds and blah, 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 as a way to diversify and get exposure to a new asset. If you're doing the same thing with altcoins, that kind of stuff, and you believe that you found something that is going to withstand the test of time and come back, then the day chart shouldn't bother you. I see so many people who think that they're here investing for the long term, and yet they focus on the 1 hour chart and they get panic attacks all day long. And that's just so counterproductive. It's so stressful. And ultimately, you know, like, what are you doing with that information? Is it just pushing your blood pressure through the roof? Because I would say that that's a complete waste of your time and energy. And I would be very deliberate about how you're choosing to participate, and don't cross-pollinate those two different strategies.
Well said. And like on one note that, and sorry if I interrupted you if you're going to finish. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Like, so my friends last night were texting me, like my friends from home, who, you know, one guy's actually, he's a tugboat, just tugboat down in the Gulf. And he's trying to get a Bitcoin. And he's like, oh, it's like bought the other day. He's like, should be worth? I'm like, dude, is this a long-term play? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, let's just say, do you think Bitcoin, like, are the things you know of, hey, it's something that's going to, I'll say transcend, it's going to be here long-term, you're looking out, look, yes. Let's assume a target is $250,000 to $1 million over the next 10 years. Just throw a number that's out there. To me, and the way he's looking at it, I know he's doing little bits here and there, anything under $100,000 is a time to buy. But that's just keeping it simple like that. Like, and just, but not saying that you're trying to catch the bottom. You're just saying, hey, buy a little bit extra cash here and there this week for whatever reason, throw a little bit in. Doesn't really care about the price. But the thing you don't want to be is the reaction mindset when it does start moving again, that you're all of a sudden chasing it. I know it's hard to play that. So it's just that's the not to overcomplicate it. Forget about charts. You don't even need charts. Charts don't matter in that case. Just like, it's just the where you are and like your outlook on what this is. And I told the last thing, I said, don't buy Bitcoin don't look at it as a trade. It's not a trade.
Yeah.
You're not looking at it like a trade. So you're looking to get in and out. Don't look at it that way. It needs to be different. And I wouldn't say that about anything else besides Bitcoin. Like, I wouldn't say that about anything else. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think that's a good way to phrase it. The desire, even without meaning to overcomplicate something that could just be very simple, is strong. And I totally get it. I get the feeling that you're not doing enough, or that, you know, because you see people who just kind of taunt everyone and flaunt wealth or display luck and tout it as skill and wisdom. It's confusing. It's hard to navigate. Someone said yesterday, Evan, I know we always say that, you know, learning this stuff is like drinking from a fire hose.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday, and he's like, learning crypto is like being thrown in the river. I was like, I really like that visual. To be very honest with you, I think that is almost better than the fire hose.
Yeah.
I might steal that, but no, I think yeah, the desire to overcomplicate is strong. And a conversation I had in Discord yesterday with someone was just like, hey, I have X amount of money in Bitcoin. Should I sell it all right now? And I'm like, why would you do that? And they're like, I don't know. It just feels like it's going to go down more. And I was like, okay, are you trying to trade? Well, no, not necessarily. Like, okay, do you need that money right now? No. Okay. Are we talking like years? Is your time frame? Yeah, 2030. Okay, then no, don't sell it. Oh, okay. And that's it. And it's that feeling that like, fuck, well, the markets are doing something and I'm not doing anything. I should be doing something. I should be buying and selling and trading and swinging and scalping and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And I'm not. And that just stresses people out. And I feel like it's hard to sit there and just kind of be patient,
And on that note too, it's almost like if you think about it, if you can change your mindset to be like, you're rooting for it to go down. In the case of like someone who's like a long-term investor in that case, where it's like, please go down further so I can buy more. Like that's, in certain ways, like that's in a certain mindset. But like, if you position it that way, you're no longer like surprised if things it doesn't hurt as much, at least that from a mentality standpoint. One thing I want to read, I'll share this tweet. Do you guys, Crypto Cred, Cred? You seen him post here and there over the years?
Crad, like C-R-E-D?
Cred, C-R-E-D.
Oh, Cred. No, sorry, I don't. I'll follow though.
He's a shit poster, but he's wise. Let's put it that way. One of the wise ones that rarely ever tweets or just does for engagement. But he wrote this tweet was like, the price action of the last weeks leads to awkward bag holding. You don't want to sell because it's already down a lot, and you're already tempted to wait for a bounce to reassess. Simple test. Always like, if I didn't have a position in something right now, would I want the exposure? Would I want the exposure I have now? So if you it's almost like saying like, if I wasn't in a position and let's say I hold this much of X asset and like I was like, would I want to be in that? Like if the answer is yes, cool, you're fine. The answer is no, do something about it. And do something about it, meaning that either scale out or de-risk a little bit, whatever it may be, but like looking at it as almost like a view of coming in from it without having that position. Is it something you want to be in? Now, easier said than done, but I think it's just a good way to from a spot perspective, to look at your portfolio.
Is the handle it's just Crypto Cred?
Crypto Cred. Yep. Yeah.
Writing it down.
It's got the what's his name? The who's the picture of the hat? Anyway,
I don't know, but I can find it.
He trades weekly. He only trades weekly charts, and everyone gives him such a hard time for trading weekly charts. Like he just gets so much shit for it. That's his. He's a high time frame guy and just a professional shit poster. That's his job. So.
I mean, I think it's easy to be a high time frame guy if you're the kind of guy who values, I don't know, stepping away from your computer.
Yep.
Spending time with the people you love. I don't know. I can't imagine. I like trading too much when I do it. Like, I don't know, those 15-minute charts on a perp dex, and all you got to do is get the price to move 5 cents one direction or another. I could chain smoke cigarettes and never leave my desk and never go outside and do that all day. But that's why I can't do it.
That's like a deliberate thing that, like, when we haven't done it in a minute, but it's 3:00 in the morning. You're trolling Dex Screener for weird shit. You're trading the 1 minute chart at most. And you're fully expecting to lose your money because you're sitting at the casino table. Except it's a casino that has a bunch of people with baseball bats trying to kill you. Yeah. But you got to be deliberate in that. You wouldn't treat your retirement portfolio with that mindset. And I feel like people tend to sort of stray in that direction, and that's often what I see leading people to just getting eviscerated. Because they're playing with money that they cannot afford to lose. And money that they might need, and not imagining the inverse of what's being shilled on social media, that it could just crater and never come back.
John says, Evan, I was trading the 15-minute last night at 2 a.m. Are you talking about me? I was watching you, John. I was watching.
Also, see how that note spun out? Is that right now?
All sub in hand. Just swinging the charts. I can see it now, John.
In this transitionary, I like to have that word used earlier, Alex, like this transitionary, like let's call it purgatory, maybe in a way, not purgatory, but like kind of like where, like, are we going to continue to go down? It's like
Right.
we're kind of
Contracting,
there.
expanding, what? We're just holding our breath.
It becomes harder to trade too, which is like just because it's almost like that's why you mentioned earlier, like if you're like, oh, if you did catch a bottom here for the short term, like definitely consider taking profits on a bounce. One thing later I've been always wanting to do, and it's more for myself, like selfishly, was trying to create like a weather app, like to almost for my personality of like, hey, without even looking at charts, to say right now the environment is good for scalp longs and potentially building swing shorts. That's from a trader's mindset. Like it's a trader's view that's there, but almost like really, but if it doesn't say that, like those are, let's say I'm only a scalper. It's like, this is not a scalping environment. I shouldn't look at charts, but trying to get the perspective of how one looks at the market for the style of investing or trading that you are. But the biggest part, and I've been saying, is a reflection on what you are and what you want to be. Like, I know it's like, oh, I want to do that. I want to trade high leverage. I want to also do long-term investing. It's like, it's a lot because it's also a strain on your personality. Because different personality types, it makes it harder. Like I have all versions of ADHD, whatever you want to call it there. I know I'm actually a much better scalper than I am a swing trader, but I want to go do the swing trades. Like that's because I think that's the better play. And I've struggled with that for a long time to realize like, that's just not your thing. Now I've figured out how to do that over time, but it was very, very painful to get to that point. And I had to lose a lot. So where I'm going with this is understand who you are and the things that you're say good at, or the areas where you're bleeding a lot, and maybe take a step away from those things and reassess what that is and understand maybe why that's happening. And like, that's the best thing. And right now in this period of time, it's not a time to overtrade or overthink things. Just, it's a good time to take a break. Honestly, last freaking 7 weeks, or even in general, like it's tiring. Yeah.
Doug, if you've already given us a couple of good tips, but if you had to speak to somebody who is really just, you said, don't think about it as trading, think about it as a long-term thing for Bitcoin specifically. You've talked about knowing yourself, but if you had to give somebody who is new, this is Web3 101 Wednesday. We've started doing this on Wednesdays where we really, really zoom in and slow down at the very beginning for total beginners. What's your practical, tactical, someone's watching this live and they maybe want to explore cryptocurrency, they want to explore investing, they want to explore trading, they just don't have any experience in it. What would your homework for them be to get them started to see if this is right for them or check things out?
Show up to your show every day at 8 a.m.
I didn't even pay him to say it, but I'll take it.
I mean, no, but candidly, like, so it's funny you say that. Like my only advice right now on certain things, I actually don't have the knowledge of the landscape that's outside of just markets and like charting and like the KPIs and economic type data, which is its own animal, but like the fundamental research, understanding the trends that are there. Like I couldn't tell you what the most ideal RWA project is right now. I know Ondo's up there. That's like probably maybe there's one more, but like I know that's a market or an area you want to start doing some research on. Where to start research? I don't know. CoinMarketCap, maybe on YouTube. Are people good on YouTube? So I don't know. So like I'm just So to answer your question, right now is a good time to learn. That's the best thing I could say, regardless of what it is. Right now, you're not late. You're still early overall. I mean, maybe late for the past recent bull run, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Like it's things go up and down. It's a good time to just understand the landscape, understand who some of the key players are, things to look out for, like things to avoid. Just understanding that dynamic, I think, is the best thing you could do. And slowly, if you feel you have to have exposure, just buy Bitcoin spot. I would say spot, buy it on the exchange, buy it like the actual coin itself. No leverage, no derivative play, just the token itself. And then while you're accumulating that slowly, learn them as much as you can.
Excellent.
That's all I got. Is that good?
Excellent answer. It's a perfect answer. Do you have a hard stop? Do you have somewhere to run today, or do you want to hang out and talk through some of the news events with us?
I would love to hang out.
Okay, man. Hang out, and let me do a quick commercial to say, if you were just tuning in, that was totally unsponsored from Doug, our good friend. If you are Home Depot or Lowe's, or maybe just a tile company who wants to expand your reach, you should sponsor this man. I do have two resources for you. The first resource I want to share with you, since it's that time in the market where the best thing to do is to learn, I want you to check out the riseupmorningshow.com, and I want you to head over to the courses and digital downloads tab
And if you haven't yet, check out this guide that Alex wrote. It is how to do your own crypto research totally for free. You just click this button, and in about 2 minutes, you'll get a PDF guide delivered to your inbox that'll have a handful of resources that you can use to start evaluating cryptocurrency projects, that you can start looking for what we call proof in the pudding. And then there's lots of other resources here. We've got Alex's boring market research guide, which is a really good one too. We've got live class recordings that you can check out. Oh, I would be remiss if I didn't show you the Rise Up Morning Show mug. If you want to educate yourself and support the show, that's a great way to do it. And also, of course, if you're looking for a community of people to join, you like hanging out here at the show, don't forget to jump in the Rise Up Discord server. It's discord.gg/riseup. It's totally free to join. It's the best place to come to ask me a question, Alex a question, Will a question of all the different friends in our community. Doug's in there. I'm sure if you tag Doug, he will see it and he will respond with a helpful answer.
I'll chart anything.
He'll chart anything. He will chart toilet paper. Could be good for the sponsorship, but seriously, it's a great community, learners at all levels of experience. The only thing missing that's you. If you feel like you're floating in the river because somebody pushed you in, then, consider us the towel and sunshine on the riverbank. That'll make you feel a little bit better. And thank you to everybody for all the kind words, tips, tricks, suggestions in the comments, because we've got a lot of good ones. Doug, Alex, what do you say? Can I give you just one or two maybe headlines here that we pulled to see while we wait for a little more one-on-one question and answer?
And
okay.
Yeah. Can you please try to remember to remind me, because I don't want to derail this, but I am scattered and I might forget.
Okay.
I had a conversation with my mom yesterday about the process of adding some exposure to the Bitcoin/Ethereum ETPs through a Roth IRA. And I just wanted to talk about something she encountered. And
let's go there first. And let me start by saying, if already you're confused because you wonder what an ETP is, it's simple: exchange traded product. Think of this as a wrapper for Bitcoin, because your family office, your hedge fund manager, your bank doesn't have the legal permission to sell you a cryptocurrency token. But what they can help you buy is an ETF, an exchange traded fund, or other type of ETP, exchange traded product. For Bitcoin, for Ethereum, there are several. So go ahead, Doug. Yeah.
So then ETF is part of the ETP umbrella?
That's right. ETP is the umbrella under which ETF
there you go.
is a smaller umbrella. Can I tell you really quick too? Another word I recently learned is monopsony. You've all heard of monopoly, which is when one company has a corner on the market, but a monopsony is when, like, a government, I think, I might have to look it up again because I just learned it, corners in industry.
Write that down.
Yeah, monopsony. I think that would be a great place to go, Alex, because your mom is maybe the best trader on our entire show.
Rumor has it that Doug copy trades my mom.
I probably should.
Oh my God! Fact check yourself, brother. Okay, so tell me about this. And one last thing, caveat is that if you're somebody who is thinking about getting into crypto, exchange traded products can be a good way to do it, because if you are alive in the world today and you're an investor already, you may have experience buying ETFs, or you may have experience using a broker like Fidelity, and therefore buying crypto with that will be easier for you than getting a wallet, learning how to do your password and your self-custody and your seed phrase. And that can be a new skill set that may intimidate you, but you might already be familiar. So go ahead, Alex, and I'll see if she's around in the comments. Oh, she sure is.
She is. Yeah. So basically, the goal was to add some exposure to Bitcoin and potentially the Ethereum ETF through a Roth IRA, because if you hold an investment in a Roth IRA, that money that you put in there is pre-taxed, and you are not obligated to pay capital gains tax on anything that you gain in there, right? Because there's all these restrictions on how much you can put in every year and when you can remove money penalty free from that account and all this kind of stuff. So if you're building a retirement account, a Roth IRA is my personal preference for, if I only had one, it would be that one. But anyway, there's many options. So here's the thing, and I did not realize this until we were talking yesterday. And Mom, correct me if I mess this up, but my mom is retired, and she's looking to do some restructuring, and so she was transferring some money from one retirement account to a Roth IRA
Okay.
and buying the Bitcoin spot ETF there. And so, was doing some comparison of the different fees and, which brokerage or which firm, which product would be the preferred one and all this sort of stuff. And ran into this issue, which is just another reason to just buy Bitcoin spot yourself, where she's not allowed to contribute new money to a Roth IRA because she's retired already and is not allowed to take advantage of that even though she pays taxes, is not allowed to take advantage of that pre-tax advantage of depositing money in a Roth IRA because she's not drawing like a regular salary. She draws Social Security and then has her other retirement benefits, which then led me to another thing that I want to bitch about for just a quick second. The fact that she draws Social Security, but still, and why does she draw Social Security? Because she paid taxes into it for her entire career in order to draw the benefit when she retired, but still has to pay taxes on the money that comes out of the Social Security because she's just above this one limit of like making too much money. So the money that was funded by her taxes to pay her back when she retired is also getting taxed, and she'll never see a benefit from that ever. So it was just like this horrendous, just like bullshit soup of traditional financial hurdles that they use to just like keep people corralled into this bullshit system. And the whole time she was describing this to me, all I can think is just like, Jesus Christ, like just for real, opt out, like for real, just buy some Bitcoin and get out of that bullshit. I couldn't believe that I had never thought about it that way. And I didn't know like it was incredible. Just the rules that you're beholden to and how you literally just get taxed on everything until you die. You're paying taxes on money, and then you draw like a little bit of reward back from all the taxes you paid, but you still get taxed on those rewards that you were already taxed on that were funded by your tax dollars. It's incredible. I couldn't believe it.
So, Alex, on that note, so is it just because of that it's not W-2 income, or it's because she's of an age where basically now you're getting Social Security, so you're not eligible to participate in the Roth IRA program because of basically drawing Social Security because you're at the retirement age?
I believe so. I believe it was a combination of the fact that she is drawing retirement benefits in that she receives Social Security, but because she also has a little bit more income with the fact that my dad still is still working, and the fact that their like in basic income is above some sort of threshold to not get taxed on your Social Security benefits. And she says, that is her understanding, that it's not W-2 income that she has, so is not eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA, which would be obviously pre-tax.
So then why not just do a regular IRA? Just curious, because in that there's no pre-tax, there's no income. You're saying to maybe do a transfer before, like let's say Social Security gets taxed on the outset, like basically have a direct transfer into an IRA, because in theory, I guess any income would have already been taxed. So the benefits of the early part of the Roth IRA, although is not there.
Right, but the benefit there that you're missing out on is that without a Roth, if you're using a traditional IRA, you still have to then pay taxes on that when you withdraw, versus the Roth.
Got
have to pay tax. So the benefit of using a Roth, which was the goal that we were going for with this particular ETP purchase, was to avoid some capital gains tax on the appreciation of Bitcoin over the next how many years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got it.
So this is a tough thing to talk through. So if you're somebody who's confused, don't fret, don't sweat. This is left out of our financial education pretty conveniently. Not your fault. I am going to post the irs.gov webpage for the official how to contribute to an IRA, Roth IRA, the laws, limits, and other fun facts you didn't know you needed to know about investing for retirement. So if you want that, it's going to be at discord.gg/riseup. Gosh, sorry, Linda. That's rough.
Yeah, it's just insane. It just blew my mind. Anyway, I just wanted to complain about that for a minute.
Yeah, no, I listen.
Opt out, buy Bitcoin.
Opt out, buy Bitcoin. Ding.
This is a gross misrepresentation of the facts.
Okay, so I have just a couple of headlines while we wait for a few more questions to roll in that I'd love your perspective and contribution, your take on. The first headline that I think is interesting, like Doug said, it's good to sit a little while here and spend some time just getting a sense of who's in the market, what's going on, what people are building, and we've got a couple of those headlines for you today. The first such headline, this made me laugh. I'm gonna pull it up and share it on the screen here. If you want to see it in widescreen, you can pop over to our YouTube channel. Find the link at theriseupmorningshow.com. This breaking news from DGen News is that Radium is launching its own version of Pump.Fun. This is per Blockworks. And this is because if you've been living under a rock or you just haven't heard, Pump.Fun, they're having a lot of trouble. They're having a lot of trouble. They've come under a lot of fire. A lot of people are missing their access to Pump.Fun, so much so, and Radium is missing the chance not to get some of that sweet trading volume that they said, you know what, we'll cut out the middleman and we will make our own meme coin DEX. That's exactly what they've done. It is oh, I lost the link. It is not a link that I have. Doug, have you seen this yet? Is it a story that you're familiar with?
I have seen it, but my initial question is it any different?
No.
In regards to just like let's assume same feature functionality that's there. Where do the fees go? Like where? Because I think that's the broken model, in my opinion, on the Pump.Fun is that two devs basically make all the money, and there are other products like I remember GoFundMemes. You heard of GoFundMemes? GoFundMemes.
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude, go check. It's GoFundMemes is a bunch of couple Solana founders. Anybody's project on Solana. It was like way back. They got great guy. They're basically doing the Pump.Fun model, but essentially all the fees go back to the revenue goes back to the holders. So they're basically changing the game.
Brilliant.
And they're doing it right. And the timing though is difficult, but post, this phase that we're in, I believe they're going to be a contender because they're doing it right. They're doing it the way that Web3 should be. It's like, hey, reward the people that are using your thing versus just two devs that basically cash out stupid money every single week. I think it's two devs, at least for Pump.Fun.
Okay. And that's at GoFundMemes on Twitter or X and GoFundMeme.io. And I am going to look up some of the details. The story I was looking at, they don't have good details on it, but I'm going to look up some of the details. And the reason I, led with this one is because Doug, as a sort of accidental meme coin community founder yourself, I imagine you have a take on Pump.Fun. In terms of, is it a thing is it sad that it's going away? Is it sad that it's losing favor?
Going away?
My understanding is yes. Or
that memo
that they're having some trouble. Hold tight.
Like legal trouble?
Well, the Pump.Fun is facing a lawsuit. Give me just a second. I'll give you all the details. Oh, I just Googled lawsuit.
An interesting conversation, perhaps for a time when we have more time to dedicate to it. But I was watching a piece of that. I don't know if it's the most recent, but an interview with Laura Shin, where she was talking to what the hell is his name? Just about like applying the word extraction to crypto businesses, but not applying it to Web 2 era businesses, and how he found that to be unfair. And I thought it just opened up a really interesting conversation about Pump.Fun specifically, when compared to like other more traditional SaaS business models. And it was really, really intriguing. I wanted to put a pin in that for maybe we can hit that tomorrow.
Okay, we can definitely do it. So, Doug, here's the details. This is an old lawsuit, by which I mean it's about a month old. So, old in crypto terms.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second, if you don't mind?
Yes.
There is some breaking news, which I'm sure all of our XRP fans are here. I just saw SEC officially drops the Ripple lawsuit.
All right, congratulations, Ripple. That's big news.
XRP holders. Hope you do well. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
No. Thank you for the breaking news. The lawsuit is a class action lawsuit, and it's Berwick law. They've handled a number of other crypto lawsuits in the past. Class action suits, kind of an ambulance chaser thing. But the likelihood after what the SEC has said about meme coins not being necessarily a problem area, it's fraudsters who commit fraud with meme coins that are the problem. It'll probably get thrown out. They were saying anybody who lost money on Pump.Fun, call us and join our lawsuit. The Radium Pump.Fun rival is Launch Lab. And it looks like, I'm looking for the fees here, and I'm looking for the, it's not just a Pump.Fun clone, says one commentator. It offers more features like multiple quote tokens, not just Sol. You can trade other things for your meme coins, bonding curves, an integration with Radium's liquidity lockers. So it's an upgrade, not necessarily a copy, and it will launch with different pricing models: linear, exponential, logarithmic. So you can adjust the token's price based on demand. And I don't see anything about the fees.
Even that, like out of the gate, like those that's intriguing to me, because again, there's a differentiating factor from flexibility to someone looking to launch a token, or you have more options. And ironically enough, like that's when I went way back a year ago, which by the way, 2 weeks next week is a year ago when the thing happened with me.
Wow.
I was going to understand what are the features in Pump.Fun? Like what can you change? There's very limited options. You just have the name, short description, long description, and how much you want to put in the initial buy. That's it. There's nothing else. But so now you're going through this. That's intriguing to me because it's allowing me to be more, creative with how you bring something to market, essentially.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And flexibility, evolution is kind of the name of the game here in crypto. What are the features that people are the features people demand today? Somebody's going to give it to them tomorrow, probably, literally, truly.
And on that note, I also too be now, for me, understanding, I would love to try to figure out the possible demand for that product. And then if it makes sense, I would buy the underlying Radium token. Like that's because it was correct. It had hit so hard from, I haven't looked at the chart in a while, from the change of the Pump.Fun piece. So at this point, that to me is something intriguing for me when things start becoming attractive again, things are moving. That's something to look at, in my opinion.
And the interesting thing is this news comes about a month after Pump.Fun has announced that it's going to launch its own automated market maker, which is Radium. Radium is an AMM. That's the word for it in crypto, which just means they have pools of different tokens that are in smart contracts, computer code, that you can interact with to swap one token for another. That's the service they provide. And Pump.Fun says, hold my beer, we're going to do that too. So Radium is coming for Pump.Fun's business. Pump.Fun is coming for Radium's business. It'll be very interesting. And hopefully it means that the customers, us, will win. We'll have a better experience overall. Very interesting. And on the news, Radium's token did have a bit of a pump. Just a bit of one.
There you go.
So good for them.
Cool.
I think my 2 cents on that is also to point out what I would call an imbalance in the way that we look at Web3 businesses, is because on it, like, strip away the fact that there's tokens involved and that, moral or ethical issues with things like Pump.Fun, or maybe you don't like meme coins. Forget all that for just 2 seconds and look at what actually this headline says. One business adopts features from another more successful business. Okay. This is news. Like, I struggle because in the look at Android and Apple. All they do is trade feature. Take it. This isn't news to me. Like, I get that it's an event and that we're like starving for things to talk about right now. A business making a business decision to try to become more competitive with someone who's doing better than them and made more money than them is not news. And like, especially when that business is Pump.Fun, who made like $500 million in revenue in their first year. Why the hell wouldn't you copy that? That's an incredible business model.
Yep.
Look how much money they made. Like, it'd be weird. It's honestly weird that Jupiter didn't do it, and that Orca didn't do it, and then Meteora didn't do it, and that Uniswap didn't do it, and that Aerodrome also didn't do it. Like, it doesn't make any sense that all of these dexes aren't all trying to build some sort of competitor there. I don't know. It's weird to me that it took this long. And I read it and I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. And I don't know why we're giving Radium any shit for it. Because in the traditional world, you'd probably have the inverse. You'd probably be giving people shit for not taking that really attractive feature that makes them a bunch of money and blah, 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 blah.
I think the reason it's mostly newsworthy at this time is because of the controversy around Pump.Fun and because of the larger narrative about whether or not that kind of thing is beneficial or extractive for the space, especially regarding, I mean, there are a couple of interesting things about it. I read recently that it's a not insignificant amount of SOL that is locked in bonding curve contracts for Pump.Fun meme tokens that have made it off the platform, but have crashed or got, essentially abandoned.
Right.
Like litter on the moon kind of thing. So, I would agree with you, but I think it's a relevant conversation for our people at this moment in time. Doug, do you have a final thought or comment, or can I give you the next story?
I'm just basically, I think the less competitors, because it's almost like they have such control of the market, but honestly, that's the reason why, to Alex's point, like, why not try to take some of that share? So that's why the next phase of this, I'm looking for more creative ways to take that share from Pump.Fun, but at the same time, benefit the users of the platform. That's where I think, and hopefully one day soon, the next cycle will go back towards people caring about value-driven projects that benefit the community, but still offer the same service. So I'm looking for that. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, the next story I want everyone to share an opinion on, a thought on, and that I want people to sit with, because at first you may say, why is this a big deal? I don't really understand, is from our pal Alex. Thank you for sourcing this story. Coinbase announced just a few hours ago that it is launching what it calls verified pools. It says you can get seamless access to transparent verified liquidity pools, trade on chain with confidence. And what this is a liquidity pool facilitated by Uniswap and the new feature hooks. Uniswap, through its history, has had upgrade after upgrade after upgrade. The first version of Uniswap, you could trade one token for another. The second version of Uniswap, you could do a couple more things. We're currently living in the Uniswap v3 era, where you can do things like provide liquidity to a pool at a range that you specify, meaning you can give them your money and earn a fee on the activity that Uniswap generates when people come to their platform to trade one token for another. And you can say to Uniswap, hey, I only want you to use my money for trades that happen between the price of $1 and $2. And they will say, okay, great. And we'll give you a higher interest rate because your active capital is only being used for a smaller number of transactions. So we'll give you a higher cut. That's great. V4 introduces this new feature, hooks, that allows you to customize how you are lending liquidity to them with even greater specificity and in ways that we really haven't even seen yet. Multiple asset pools, converting assets, re-entering pools when you fall out of a range. It's DeFi level 2 and 3 stuff that will help us take decentralized finance to the next level. And Coinbase has said, we want to use hooks to make sure that only verified customers can swap money. Meaning, it's a problem right now that there are a lot of bots that can influence the price, the liquidity, and other features of a trading pool. It creates a subpar experience for people like you and me who want to use it for our services. This is going to allow Coinbase to know your customer at a pool level. It's kind of centralizing decentralized finance, but it's a trade-off. You will have institutional grade security for these pools, meaning they will use Coinbase assets, make sure that users, verified users, are accessing liquidity pools that meet their standards for KYC. It's going to be just as accessible as it's always been. You have your choice of Coinbase wallets, and you'll have Uniswap's protocol underneath. And because it's on Uniswap, it's transparent. It's self-custody, no intermediaries, just direct, efficient trading. What do you guys think about this? And Alex, I'm curious to know what caused you to think that this was a big deal. How would you help explain it further? Because I was kind of technical there.
Yeah, first of all, that was a great explanation.
Thank you.
I highlighted it for one interesting reason, because I had a thought when I saw the headline at first, specifically between the pairing of using Uniswap to do this from Coinbase, and it bothered me not because I don't like Uniswap. I love Uniswap. I'm sure I've told the story too many times that was my first. That's where I learned how to DeFi. That's where I got absolutely hosed, not knowing how liquidity providing worked and all that sort of stuff, and whatever. I've learned a lot on Uniswap. I use it constantly. But specifically, if Coinbase was looking to do something like this, why not use Aerodrome?
That's what was my question.
Why? It bothers me that Coinbase puts forward this optic of supporting the builders in their ecosystem and wanting to boost all of that and highlight these things and, you know, come to Base and all this sort of stuff and the support that they've given obviously to Base as their blockchain, in the form of liquidity and support and grants and exposure and media and whatever. And then it comes time to do something big and impactful like this, and you go out of ecosystem for it.
I think they did it because I don't think Aerodrome can do this.
I had this thought and I started poking around, and there was a non-insignificant number of engineers who are wondering the same thing and who all stated that Aerodrome could definitely have done this.
So my understanding though is that Aerodrome doesn't have hooks, which is it's essentially API hooks that allow you to do custom things with the pools that you can dream up. It's adding a layer. You know how we talk about sometimes you can centralize a decentralized system by building on top of it. You can build something closed on top of an open system, but it's very hard to build an open system on top of a closed one. It's hard to do whatever you want in prison, but if you're out in the free world, you can build a prison. My understanding is that these hooks allow people to build those things in a way that, Aerodrome, I don't think Aerodrome has that. I think Aerodrome is, you can do these things. You can launch a pool, you can, limit a liquidity range. And I don't think I could be wrong if people are saying that who are, devs and well-informed, but.
No, and I'm speculating here, but I guess the only acceptable answer to me would be, what you just put forth, and had there been a conversation with Aerodrome that was like, hey, we want to do this, can't support it. Could you? No. Okay, we'll go elsewhere. But it seems like a thing that it just feels weird to me. It just reads weird to me, and I would like more information because it's sus. That's it.
Yeah,
that's why I highlighted it, because I just wanted to talk about this idea of running an ecosystem and then going outside of the ecosystem, because I can see a benefit and a downside to doing that. I really like, who was it that said it? Was it Vitek? No, it was Jesse. Was it Jesse?
Jesse Pollock?
No, it was Mert. It was Mert talking about Jesse.
Mert of Solana talking about Jesse Pollock of Coinbase and Base.
Yeah. And to be honest, it was a fantastic answer, and I completely agree. And this is why I think that it's a good thing that they went with Uniswap, or one of the reasons I would put in the good category. Someone asked Mert, obviously trying to be combative in an interview, about competing with Jesse. And Mert said, I'm not competing with Jesse. I'm competing with Amazon and with Web2. Like, I'm not competing with people in Web3. I'm competing on behalf of Web3 with the rest of the centralized internet, that kind of stuff. It was a great, obviously media trained answer to a combative and probing question, trying to get someone to talk shit about another network. And I thought it was great coming from a guy like Mert, who's not shy about telling Coinbase when they're fucking up and, lambasting them for skewering Solana or something like that. So in that sense, I get that, cross-pollination and interoperability between different ecosystems, and obviously Uniswap indexes and catalogs, and you can trade on Base. That's my favorite one. Using Uniswap. So it's not like it's completely out of character. It's not like they had to add compatibility for Base to Uniswap to make something like this happen if they wanted to use the two networks. I just found it to be interesting because at this time, what's Uniswap doing? Building and launching Unichain. And this was it's just weird. I don't know. You don't get like a weird vibe from it. It's just odd to me.
No, I don't, because like I say,
the hooks, they make the liquidity more programmable. And I don't know of any other. When I was at East Denver, sorry, God bless Kimberly. She's here to refill my coffee, and I handed her my full tea mug. Thank you, darling. When I was at East Denver, I was at the Uniswap event. They had this great event, first of all, shout out Uniswap, in a rock climbing gym where you could go climb some rocks. They brought in, the only food that they brought in, I say only, was this magnificent table of croissants that were decadent and fresh, and then like some veggies and hummus. It was perfect. It was just enough. And you could hear everyone. They had fantastic merch. Their team was there ready to talk to you. And they attracted a really good crowd of people. And one of them was a venture capitalist, Gerard, of Wave Capital. I'd love to have him on the show sometime soon. Shout out Gerard if you're watching, who was really eloquent in his explanation of what hooks could do. We were talking about it. I was standing with Gerard, and I was standing with a developer of OKX Wallet. And they were talking about the hooks and how exciting it was. It had just been released. And I said, can you explain hooks to me? Like, I don't understand what this is doing. And that's what he said. He said, imagine that instead of just contributing to a liquidity pool or creating a liquidity pool for trading pairs, you could set additional parameters for how the liquidity could be used, for who could access it, for the ways in which trades in and out of the pool functioned or were facilitated. He said, this is like taking a static structure and making it dynamic. And of course, I'm paraphrasing him. So, Gerard, don't come for me. But it's unprecedented in the flexibility, the programmability, and who's got deeper liquidity and trust than Uniswap? Like, even Aerodrome doesn't support as many chains. It doesn't have liquidity across as many chains. Like, I love that they would use Aerodrome, but that's my understanding, is that this is not a personal slight against them. It's hey guys, we're a global company. We have a global audience. We want to make our customers safe by verifying them. And now we have this new pool programmability that will allow us to do it.
And I guess in support of that thesis, there is significant use of Morpho as a platform for various, protocols or projects or tools or services and stuff that Morpho is qualified to handle. And like I said, I could see both sides. It just kind of immediately tickled me as like being a little bit odd. And I guess thinking about it more and hearing your side, I would say that I agree. Like, what you're saying makes sense to me. I don't know as much about hooks and whether or not they're capable. I was just kind of going off of what a number of engineers said. But of course, those could be biased opinions as well. And I think a lot of it was just kind of like looking at, the messaging about supporting the ecosystem and all that sort of stuff coming out of Coinbase, being, like whatever. But I imagine that perhaps if Aerodrome were to add that it would just become another place wherein you could do this in a year down the line or something like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Doug, do you have a take on it? I'm sorry, we kind of back and forth and left you in the bathroom there.
No, it's fine. I actually don't have a strong, it's interesting because I'm not in the know of kind of like, so Coinbase, to me, Coinbase was an exchange, right? Or out of the gate, and now a publicly traded company. So it's like the dynamic of corporate strategy versus then also adding in all the crypto stuff, which is the partnerships, the tech, and having, not saying bias, but you're like what is, and I'm sure they have this, like, what's the overall strategy of the partnership alliances part of the equation with the tech to be in a growth mode, but still be, fiduciary the responsibility to operate as a corporation for the things I've already set out to do. And it's just very difficult for me to conceptualize that because of the introduction of new products and new vehicles. And like, if it's like the smaller bucket of the ventures, and I don't know how it's broken out, but it's just interesting to me. I don't have a point. A take.
Well, speaking of points and takes, it's about that time for us to ride our dogs and ponies off into the sunset. And I would love, if you haven't yet had your question answered, for you to drop it in the chat. We can rapid fire it real quick. If you've got a question, suggestion, good joke, word of wisdom, complaint, or maybe a proverb to share, then that is welcome too. If it doesn't fit in a character limited comment, then the place I want to direct you to is the Rise Up Discord server. That link is discord.gg/riseup. It's right here on the screen. Take a screenshot.
And then be sure to join us there later. It's totally free. We do have premium memberships that you can get a trial of for a week that unlock additional features like priority access, voice chats that function as, weekly coaching. You get all the PDF guides for free. But I want to be clear, you do not have to spend a dime to hang out with us, to learn with us, and unlock the next level of friendship with somebody who is just dying to learn with you in our global community. So check that out, discord.gg/riseup. Guys, what is your final thought, question, suggestion, last minute tip, good joke, word of wisdom for the day? Doug, as our esteemed guest, you can go first.
With the XRP news,
Mm-hmm.
don't FOMO, because a couple things. One, I'm sure a lot of people on the inside knew this was coming, and they're basically ready to say, hey, they need to take some profits for some reason, or whatever it may be. So if you're someone who's not in there, be cautious. Not a time to go full port and throw them, because like all of a sudden now, like this is the last barrier, the thing to before XRP is going to go to some insert crazy number that's not realistic. Don't assume that that's the catalyst for it. Just right now observe, because we have to be aware we're in a very unique time overall, and XRP is a small little blip of that bigger market that's there. So this has not changed the dynamic of anything. I think I saw a comment earlier, or anything Powell's saying. Powell could care less about XRP. Powell doesn't even know probably XRP is. He probably doesn't, but no, he doesn't. Anyway, it's just something so small. Just as of right now, be more cautious than bullish on something like that. And also too, if this does continue doing the thing that people are saying it's going to do, you're going to have opportunities to find an entry. One of the best things about crypto is there's always an entry. And if it's going to do crazy numbers, you getting in at 240 versus 260, when it gets to a more comfortable level that price can be accepted, means nothing. So just be cautious, keep your FOMO in check. That's my takeaway, especially for XRP right now.
Excellent take. Thank you very much, my friend. And thank you for making time to join us today. Alex,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What about you, brother? You got final suggestion for our friends? Good jokes, words of wisdom?
Yeah, I would say a couple things. One, on the lawsuit, and I haven't read the thing or anything, but about goddamn time. I would completely agree with what Doug said. Be careful with the feeling of FOMOing, because it's very likely that something like this can cause, obviously the price spike that you're seeing right now could very well not last that long. Read the kind of market that it's in overall. So just consider that. I always say, plan for the price to go down after you buy and up after you sell. And if you buy and sell accordingly with that eventuality in mind, it will help you kind of level and measure the way that you move with money. The biggest thing that I'm stoked about this for is just the precedent that it sets, because that lawsuit was nonsense. It went on for so much longer than it should have. It was unbelievably slanted against Ripple. It was a great example of gigantic government overreach. It was bullshit. For lack of a better word, it was bullshit. So I'm good for them. Like I say all the time, not many entities could have weathered that storm. And I think the industry is overall better for having someone like that be able to weather that storm and eventually win out, because I think most other groups would have caved to the government pressure a long time ago and just settled and admitted things that they shouldn't have had to admit. So personally grateful, because it sets a good precedent, and they deserved it. I became more of a legal expert than I ever was in trying to follow that lawsuit and understand how the SEC could possibly still be declaring that they had a case and could still be allowed to continue. And I just thought it was just nonsense. So that's very exciting to hear. Holders deserve it. So just be careful. Don't get hurt. And then I would just end by saying, I think the conversation we had earlier today was really good. If you're new and you didn't see the beginning of the show as talking about, or I guess it was, probably about 30 minutes in, just talking about being objective about the way you look at this kind of market that we're in right now. If we label it a platypus market as the most confused animal on earth, compared to bulls and bears, you have the thing you really have to do to succeed is truly know thyself. And know how you're entering, right? Are you trying to be a trader? good luck, Godspeed, act accordingly. Not my area of expertise. Listen to the guy in the bathroom. If you're trying to learn some of those skills, but if you're not, and you're just interested in investing and you're curious about, is this a good time to get in? If you have a long-term mindset on something like Bitcoin, then, it could be, like I said, plan for it to go down after you buy and up after you sell, and that'll help you measure it. So that felt good. That was a good conversation. I would recommend it if you're new. I'll probably try to cut that out, Evan. I think that was a good chunk to maybe try to turn into a clip or two.
I will absolutely die on this hill.
I am so not looking forward to. We had a piece of good counsel that Alex got yesterday about how we can be more present and valuable on Twitter. And one of the things was inviting people to look beyond that platform by sharing the work that you do in other places. Don't share a whole podcast episode, though. You got to share a clip. And my God, would I rather die on a hill than spend 40 minutes editing a podcast clip? But it was well taken.
I'll talk to Mihir, because Mihir would be good at helping us pull a couple of those out.
Oh my God. Okay. I have my final thought for the day is good joke. Alex, you want to hear a pizza joke? No, it's too cheesy, man. What did the buffalo say when his son left? Bye, son. And what do you call a cold puppy? A chili dog. Tell me why. Okay, that's it. We've got to go. If it made you laugh, if it made you cry, let us know in the Discord. We can't wait to see you again. We'll be back tonight for Rise Up After Dark. I have absolutely no idea who our guest is, so we've got to get our poop in a group and find that out. When we do, we will see you tonight at 7 p.m. Central and back here, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. Until then, my friends, thanks for joining us. Stay safe. Be well, everybody.